Hello and welcome to episode 4 of Sports and Stuff. I'm Patrick Haggerty, your host, and we're going to be talking about sports almost exclusively because I don't have a guest yet. I had a microphone coming in the mail that would allow me to have some guests on the show. So guests will be coming soon once I get that microphone here and set up. But the microphone's not here yet because of fucking Amazon not getting me the microphone. But we're going to do a solo episode because I still have lots to talk about. I probably was going to do a solo episode this week, even if there was also an episode with a guest. So I'm just doing the solo episode. There'll be multiple episodes a week on a fairly regular basis, even when things get really cooking. So it is, what day is it? It is Monday, January 22nd. And it is the day after the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. I'm filming this anyway. I'll be releasing it probably the following day. But everything will hold pretty true. I'm going to be breaking down the divisional round, plus looking a little bit ahead to the conference championship games. And who knows what else? Maybe I'll talk a little bit about the Yankees if there's time to do so. But let's talk about the NFL playoffs. This round was filled with a lot of really good games. The first round kind of it had the Lions. Excuse me. It had the Lions game and maybe the Chiefs game, you could say, was fairly close, but for the most part, the games were pretty lopsided in the wild card round. But in the divisional round, the games were generally pretty good. We'll start in order. We have the Ravens-Texans game. That game ended up being a little bit of a blowout, but actually started off pretty close, even that one. I assumed going in that I was actually looking at the Texans as being a team that could jump a team and kind of surprise us and end up winning a game like that. The Ravens, though, are just too good. The Texans have a great quarterback in Stroud, and they're going to be great moving forward, but the Ravens just have too good of a quarterback, and they kind of showed that they are a force to be reckoned with, as they say. The Ravens are really good. Lamar Jackson is just a steamroller. He's a great quarterback. He's a great athlete who can just wreck a game and just own a defense. So it'll be very interesting to see what they do in the next round. It's them versus the Chiefs. We'll talk about that in a little bit. It'll be interesting to see. They're just awesome. Like they went in as one of the teams that you expected to be that next level of really great going into this divisional round, and they kind of separated themselves from the pack going into the next round. The Ravens did. Maybe the 49ers were on a similar level mentally going in, and the Chiefs and Bills happened to be going against each other. But one of those two teams you figured was going to be a really strong opponent for whoever had to go against them, for whoever had to go against whichever of them. But the Ravens this week kind of pushed themselves into a category by themselves of being the strongest looking team. Now, that's one game. The teams that made it through. So there's a great chance of these teams riding the ship a little bit, even the ones that didn't look quite as strong. But the Ravens are definitely in a category by themselves going into the conference championship round. they're a powerhouse. They have a really strong defense. They have Lamar Jackson playing as well as he's ever played. He's in his prime. The worry was a mobile quarterback. Their primes never come a lot of the time because they just get injured too soon. RG3 being a great example of that. Someone who is super athlete, great quarterback, great, just a game-changing talent. But he got hurt, and we never really got to see what he maybe could have been. Lamar Jackson is showing us year after year and game after game, especially this year, game after game. Year after year, though, he's probably, there's a good chance he's going to be the MVP. So year after year, even, that he is in a category by himself in the history of football. Even he's going to do some things that that we've never seen before. Patrick Mahomes, I suppose, would be a decent comparison in terms of a mobile quarterback who can stay healthy. So they're in a similar category in that way. But Lamar Jackson is more mobile. He runs, he goes. So it'll be interesting to see. They're really awesome. It'll be interesting to see what the Ravens can do. We'll move on. The next game that was played was the Saturday night game, which was the Packers versus the 49ers. I am no longer wearing my cheese head because the Packers lost. The Packers weren't able to overcome the 49ers. It was looking like the Packers were going to win that game. I was thinking, I thought I had given them some luck by saying that, the Packers are going to get destroyed, just like I said that the Packers were going to get destroyed by the Cowboys. I was thinking, oh man, I guess I'll have to say that the Packers are going to get destroyed again going to the conference championship because it looked like they were going to win that game, but they couldn't pull it out. And honestly, it's because they made mistakes. It wasn't because, they just eventually fell under the weight of the 49ers. It was because they had two big interceptions that they couldn't catch. They missed a field goal at the end. The Niners missed a field goal too at one point, but they got it blocked, and it was a much longer field goal. The Packers just missed a field goal. The Packers really should have scored a touchdown on that drive. They were disappointed to not score a touchdown. They had some great runs. They looked like they were going to run away with that game. At one point, it looked like they were going to be up 11 with 4 minutes to go, and then 49ers were going to lose without winning a playoff game. And it looked like the Packers were going to keep that momentum alive and be able to do it, but they couldn't figure it out. And really, it's because they made pretty egregious errors. It wasn't just, sometimes you see a team play really, really well, and then they have a 3-and-out because a team like the 49ers is just all over them and sacking them and deflecting passes, and then they punt it back, give it to the other team, and then they just fall under the weight of a great team. That happens. And if that had happened, that would have been more than acceptable for the Packers because they're just not a team that was expected to really do anything. They're the fourth youngest team in the history of football, youngest team to win a playoff game in the history of football, in the history of the NFL at the very least. I'm sure there are some Pee-wee teams that are younger who win playoff games, but they are the youngest team in the history of the NFL, and they are or the youngest team in the history of the NFL to win a playoff game, fourth youngest ever. That's since the friggin' 40s, which is crazy to say, or I guess the 30s and 20s even. But it's crazy to think that they are the fourth youngest team in the history of the NFL, because you just think of how pro sports has changed over time. And in a way, it makes sense because the old teams would probably have like 50-year-olds who just said, "Well, I'm done at the mill, so I better go play in the NFL." But you'd think that they would also have, "Oh, well, I'm right out of high school, so hey, can I play in the NFL?" Like, sure, you're a pretty fast kid. So it's a little surprising that a team in this era could come in and be the fourth youngest team in the history of the NFL. So that's surprising. So the fact that they made it as far as they did is obviously incredibly impressive. But it is disappointing that they lost that game because they should have won that game. They outplayed the 49ers. The 49ers played poorly. The Packers should have caught those 2 interceptions. Those two interceptions that the Packers did not catch were right in the chest of the Packers defenders. Purdy did not look very good. He made some plays at the end of the game, so you got to give him credit. McCaffrey kind of bailed them out. McCaffrey is an absolute beast. McCaffrey ultimately, offensively at least, won that game for the Niners. But really, the Packers lost that game in a lot of ways. At least that's how I viewed it as I was watching, is that the Packers had an opportunity to not only win that game, they had an opportunity to kind of win that game easily. And they just couldn't do it. And if you give the Niners a chance, then they're going to win. And ultimately, as a fan, I mean, I like the Packers, but as a fan, seeing the 49ers, and for me, even more specifically, Christian McCaffrey, seeing him get a little bit farther into the playoffs is more entertaining than seeing the Packers and their Cinderella story. Because Love, it would have been cool. The Cinderella story would have been cool. Then the NFC Championship would have been in Detroit. That would have been entertaining in its own right. But it's cool to see the best teams play. And you have the 49ers who, going into the playoffs, I certainly viewed them as being the best team in football. The Ravens are are starting to make me wonder about that. But the 49ers are the most talented team in football, other than the quarterback. So that's the thing that we have to see. We have to see what Purdy can do next week. Can he come back and make us believe in his talents again? But Purdy made it, and the Niners are loaded, so you got to expect them to be a formidable foe themselves. We'll move on to those were the Saturday games. The Sunday games, the first game, we had Detroit Lions versus the Tampa Bay Bucks. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's why I took a second to remember who it was, because who cares about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Holy shit. I'm certainly glad the Lions won, because the Bucks, even being in that round, was a little bit like, all right, we don't need the Bucks in, not this year's Bucks in any of these games and any of these rounds. So though I do like Baker Mayfield from Austin, Texas. We looked that up as we were watching, me and my group. We were watching, and we saw Baker Mayfield from Austin, Texas, which is a very Texas name. This is my son Baker. Named him Baker after my granddad. So yeah, but Baker Mayfield, I do like Baker. He's kind of a loudmouth, but I actually kind of like that. I liked him in college when he did the flag thing into the ground. That was pretty awesome. So it would have been neat if he had won the national championship and then won the Super Bowl this year. But he can do that another year when the Bucks are more entertaining, or maybe he's on some other team because this is like his 12th team. That's an exaggeration, but he's been moving around, so it wouldn't be that shocking if he moved around again. I would assume, though, the Bucks are going to say, "Hey, please stay. You're a good quarterback. Let's figure this out. Let's see if we can make this work." The Lions won, though. Again, I'm happy that the Lions won. The Lions all year were among the best teams in football. So, taking a half a step forward, Lions 49ers is what the NFC Championship game is going to be. And hey, the Cowboys were the 2 seed, but the Cowboys were they had some guff talked about them as far as only beating bad teams throughout the regular season. They were really just a home juggernaut. They weren't considered, and really they're just always they're playoff choke artists. So that came to fruition anyway. But having the Lions in that round, I mean, I might be a little bit biased as a Giants fan, but having the Lions in that round with the 49ers seems like it's the most appropriate matchup in terms of, the 49ers were the best team in the NFC without a doubt, and the Lions were the second best team in the NFC. I guess the Eagles at one point seemed like they were the second best team in the NFC, but they fell apart. So it feels appropriate in terms of the best matchups to have 49ers Lions. You have Goff, you have the coach there in Detroit. It's a cool matchup, and it's just two really good, solid football teams, which is neat to have. It's never a bad thing to have extra talent going on. So yeah, I could see the Lions winning that game, but we're not going to that yet. But with the Lions Bucks game, the Lions, it was a great game. That was a great game. The Lions eventually took a 2-score lead and kind of held it, but the Bucks kept it close. It was a great game. The Lions just are better, so they were eventually able to come out there and overpower the Buccaneers, but it took some time. The Bucks had a cool season. Them losing in the divisional round is perfect. Hey, whoa, Baker Mayfield divisional round, that's awesome. So seeing Baker a little bit farther along, he made the playoffs, which is already really cool because he had such a tough go of it in the previous few years after being good with the Browns, and then he went to the Panthers and was like their third string quarterback, and now he's the starting quarterback of a team that won a playoff game, as well he should be. That was a weird one, that Baker Mayfield kind of fell off the face of the earth in terms of quarterbacking, because he's good. He's talented, and he's very, very athletic, and just a really good quarterback. So the fact that he kind of fell off the edge of the quarterback list is a little odd. So I'm glad that he's back. I'm glad Baker Mayfield's back. I'm gonna say that right now. I'm glad Baker Mayfield is back, being a starting quarterback in the NFL, and a good starting quarterback to boot. And I'm sure next year the Bucs are gonna push, especially in that bad division. They'll push for the division again. Hopefully Baker is the quarterback. That would make them at least somewhat interesting. That was their saving grace in terms of interest in this playoffs, because seeing them, it was like, what? Brady leaves and they're still pretty good. I don't care about the Bucs. Like, at least with the Patriots, you'd think, whoa, they figured it out even without Brady. The Bucs, I don't care about the Bucs. But the Lions won, and the Lions are really good, and it's good for Detroit fans. You got to give it to them. They've gone through a lot. I remember the 0-16 season for the Lions not all that long ago, and they did it. They made it to the NFC Championship game, which is pretty cool. The championship game is an awesome game to be able to watch your team play in, and I know that as a fan. But we'll talk about that again in a couple minutes. But the next game, which was the game that I was looking forward to the most, and the NFL purposely had that as the last game, the Sunday Night Football game, Chiefs-Bills, which lived up to the billing, to the chiefing and the billing, both of those. The Chiefs-Bills game was awesome. It was just back and forth scoring. Even the first two scores were both field goals, so it made you think, are they going to be able to play a little bit of defense? Like, the offenses are awesome, but they can play a little bit of defense. That's pretty cool. Then the Bills scored a touchdown. The Chiefs scored a field goal. The Chiefs scored a touchdown. Make it 13-10. Then the Bills came right back, and Allen drove it into the end zone, and it was that was a sick game. That was really cool. The Chief, it was a third matchup between Mahomes and Allen, but it was the first one in Buffalo. Mahomes, it was the first time he had it was the first time he had a playoff game in anywhere other than Kansas City, other than the Super Bowl, that is. But it was the first road game other than the Super Bowl in the playoffs, which it was a great storyline. And then the game lived up to it. It was sick. It was awesome. It was back and forth. The Bills ultimately kind of lost it. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. But I guess that's why the Chiefs won, is because the Chiefs are the Chiefs. The Chiefs are the dynasty of this time, and the Bills can't beat them, it seems, even when they should, even when they are the better team, even when they are at home and they play the better game. They just can't figure it out. The end of the game, it was, man. It was about a minute and a half to go. Josh Allen, 2nd and 9. There was this one play. Tony Romo mentioned it on the broadcast, how there was a guy running an 8-yard crossing route right at the first down. It was 2nd and 9. He would have gotten the first down no problem if Allen had just dished it out to him. There was 5 yards to the next player that way, like down the field, and probably another 5 yards across the field. He was nowhere near him. If he had thrown it to him, he would have gotten the first down easily. Might have gotten another 5, maybe even 10 yards because it was just the one guy. So if he's, I think it looked like he could have broken a tackle, or at least half broken a tackle, and gotten a couple extra yards even after getting that first down. He tried throwing it deep to the end zone. He gets clipped by a defensive lineman, and he just didn't get it there. And 3rd down, they didn't convert. Then they went for the field goal, and man, he went wide right, which is a dirty couple words for the Buffalo Bills, and I am very happy about those words as a Giants fan, even though that game did happen before I was born, a few months before I was born. But you can't put yourself in a position to kick a 47-yard field goal in the cold, nasty weather with a minute and 40 seconds to go. The Chiefs were winning that game anyway. If they had made that field goal, the Chiefs would have absolutely won that game. They would have marched down the field. They would have put themselves in field goal range. They would have run out the clock to 2 seconds left before they kick a field goal, and they would have won it with 0 seconds to go. So you needed to score a touchdown there, and quite frankly, that play that Allen didn't go for, that throw. I know, even as a layman, as a non-football expert, I saw that guy in real time. I thought, just dish it out to him. He's at the 1st-yard marker. Just give it to him. He'll get 10, 15 yards on the play, and then you're good. Then you're golden. At the very least, you have to burn the clock. If you're going to kick a field goal, you have to burn the clock to 0 seconds. Just get it over there and you got to get the clock down. If you're going to kick that field goal, you really have to score a touchdown if you want to win the game. If you want to even have a chance at winning the game, then you got to run the clock out so that it's a field goal, and then hopefully you win the coin toss. I know the rules are changed because of Chiefs Bills, but even so, man, that kicking, even if they had made that field goal, minute and a half for Mahomes, you kidding me? Especially when you only need a field goal to win it. That's rough. That's rough. It was tough for Bills fans. Man, I was rooting for the Bills. I'm a New Yorker through and through. I was rooting for the Bills, but now moving forward, Chiefs Ravens, that's a good matchup. That's a good matchup too. You have Ravens, who again, they're the best team in the AFC, just kind of the most complete team. They have a great quarterback. They are hot. They've had a great year. So it's a great team and a great year, and a great quarterback who's had a great year. So it's just a very, very strong team against the dynasty team. What more could you ask for? Patrick Mahomes in the AFC Championship game for the entirety of his career, basically. The Chiefs have been in the AFC Championship game more than basically every year that he's been a starter. The Chiefs have been in the AFC Championship game, which is pretty friggin' incredible. So that game is pretty right on. And then to reiterate what I said before, 49ers Lions, to me that's right on also. Is the Lions were the other powerhouse of the NFC in terms of pure talent. I guess the Eagles had a great beginning of the year, but they fell apart. So just complete season, complete team. Detroit Lions, 49ers, and then the Ravens are in that same bucket. Complete team, complete year. and then the Chiefs are the Chiefs. So you got it. So that's the best matchup too, is the Chiefs. So the matchups worked out. The NFL's happy. Taylor Swift has another game to attend in Baltimore. Taylor Swift in Baltimore. That'll be fun. Travis's brother will be in Baltimore, I'm sure. I don't know. I would assume anyway. He was in Buffalo with his shirt off, looking like a Buffalo native in many ways. But I would assume he's going to be there as well. In terms of how I think the games are going to go, I have a hard time picking against the Chiefs. How can you? How can you pick against the Chiefs? I wasn't. What was it? It was Chiefs were playing the Dolphins in super cold. That one I felt like the Chiefs had. I thought that the Bills had a real chance yesterday. I did, because it was in Buffalo, and the Chiefs and the Bills have been really good. The Chiefs have shown signs that they can be got, but they figured it out. The Ravens are great. So it's just about, can the defense slow down Jackson? And I think they will. I think the Chiefs will win. I think the Chiefs are going to go to the Super Bowl again, and I think it's going to be against the 49ers. If the 49ers make it to the Super Bowl, then it's going to be a match. It's going to be a rematch of a reasonably recent Super Bowl either way, because you have 49ers versus Chiefs, which happened 3 or 4 years ago, and that's the Chiefs' first Super Bowl win was against the 49ers. Or Mahomes' first Super Bowl win was against the 49ers. And then if it's 49ers Ravens, that'll be a matchup of Super Bowl 47, which isn't all that recent, but to me it feels recent because it was my senior year of college, so it stands out. So you have if the 49ers make it, which it feels like the 49ers are going to make it, but the Lions are really good. This isn't 49ers versus the Buccaneers where you think, man, if the Buccaneers were to beat the 49ers, I would be shocked. If the Lions beat the 49ers, I'm not going to be shocked. They're stacked. They have a really good team. They're not quite as stacked as the 49ers, but they do have a quarterback who maybe has a little bit more raw talent in Goff rather than Brock Purdy. So they do have some aspects of their game that could match up pretty well against the 49ers. But I would imagine it's going to be 49ers. 49ers Chiefs, Super Bowl again? Sure. That's fine, especially since they're both awesome. It's a different 49ers team than it was when they played each other a few years back. So that would be a fun Super Bowl. They're both. I mean, the 49ers are fucking stacked. They're one problem, and it's really not. And it's only seems like it might be a problem because of this past weekend is their quarterback. But obviously, that's ridiculous. I shouldn't be able to say that. He might have been the MVP of the regular season. He just looks like, is he as good as the other quarterbacks in the league? The way I've described it the past couple days is that he's a functional quarterback. He's a good quarterback on an elite, absolutely loaded team. The team is loaded on every facet. Their defense is stacked. Their offense is stacked. They have the best non-quarterback player in football, without a doubt, in Christian McCaffrey, and he is an absolute beast. He can run over any team in the league, and so having him definitely helps any quarterback. But hey. And they also, they're stacked with wide receivers. They have a great offensive line because obviously McCaffrey was on the Panthers and he wasn't doing this with he was, but the Panthers weren't doing what the 49ers are doing with McCaffrey. It's because they were already a loaded team before they got McCaffrey. McCaffrey is kind of like a fail-safe where even if some other parts of the team are faltering that particular day, he's just so friggin' good that he's going to put you in a position where you can win the game. Even last year against the Eagles, they lost all their quarterbacks. They didn't have a quarterback. They were snapping the ball to McCaffrey, and they still at times was like, they might win this game because McCaffrey's so freaking good. So he's a game wrecker. I am happy that the Niners won because of him. Because watching McCaffrey play is a blast. He's a fucking monster. So I'll be rooting for the Chiefs. I can't root for the Ravens because I still haven't forgiven them for the 2000 Super Bowl that I barely remember, where the Ravens beat the Giants, and so I do not forgive them. So I'm definitely rooting for the Chiefs. Who am I? But the Niners, Lions. I'm rooting for the Niners because of McCaffrey. But I also think that that's what's going to happen. I think that it's going to be Niners, Chiefs, Super Bowl, little rematch of what? I don't even know what number Super Bowl that is. But that'll be a rematch. And we'll do a little bit longer. I'll talk about the Yankees a little bit here to end, and then that'll be it. The Yankees. It seems like, from everything I've heard, are not going to get any more starting pitching, which is bad. That's bad. And it sounds like they're not even going to really add any relievers that they didn't already have last year. I read that they're from Jack Curry, a reliable source in Yankeedom. He says that from what he's heard, it's going to be Wandy Peralta and Middleton, the one guy they traded for last year, which, I mean, hey, their bullpen was the best bullpen in baseball last year. So, and then they have Efros coming back, and that's really it. So it's really just an addition of Efros coming back as the addition to the bullpen, and then the rotation is like pretty much the same, I guess. If you want to be kind, you have Cole, and then you have some combination of Rodon, Nestor, and Stroman as your 2, 3, 4 in whatever order you want to say. Stroman might be the 2 based on how consistent everybody is of staying healthy and how much they've done over the course of their career. Stroman might be the 2, which is not a great number 2. But Nestor Cortez is kind of your number 4, which is a nice number 4. Now, because they're all number 3 starters. So you have a number 3 as your number 2, not great. You have a 3 as your number 3, correct. And you have a 3 as your number 4, that's nice. And then you have Clark Schmidt as your number 5, who is probably a reasonable number 4. So the rotation, if they were to stay healthy, it has a high end potential because they're all kind of slotted into a position that you're fairly comfortable with, and maybe even a little bit more than comfortable with. You're actually happy, like, oh, he's better than what you would really need out of that slot. The problem is that Carlos Rodon is going to get hurt. Carlos Rodon gets hurt in his good seasons. In the one he was with the White Sox and the Giants in the 2 great seasons that he had leading up to his free agency, which is what got him the big contract that he got. Carlos Rodon got hurt in one of those seasons, like a lot. Like he got hurt. I don't think he doesn't make every start even when he's fully healthy, but even in one of those seasons, he only threw like 130 innings, and he had a great ERA, so he got this big contract. But he's just a guy who gets hurt all the time, and the Yankees don't have a 6th starter. They signed what's his name, Chase something, as their 6th starter, who is a quadruple A starter, is probably more of a long man reliever and a 7 starter. Like, he's a good 7 starter, and he's our 6th, and he's probably going to be in the rotation to start the year because Rodon's probably going to get hurt, and Nestor Cortez can't really be trusted to pitch a full season either because he's only done it once in his whole career, and that seemed to make it so that he got hurt the very next year. So he probably not only shouldn't he be trusted, he shouldn't even really be asked to do it because he probably can't quite handle it. So the Yankees aren't going to get another starter. They're going to fill out the bullpen, and the bullpen's going to be really good. So that's going to be nice, is that the bullpen's going to be really good. The lineup is going to be quite strong as well. You have Juan Soto batting 2nd, Judge batting 3rd, Rizzo batting 4th, Stanton batting 5th. Very, very nice. All great. So the lineup's going to be very strong. They should start Gleyber Torres in the leadoff spot. I'm saying that right now. You got that. He's clearly the better hitter than DJ LeMahieu. That makes it so that you can have, what did I say? You have Stanton batting 5th, so then you would put Verdugo batting 6th, DJ LeMahieu batting 7th, then Austin Romine batting 8th, not Austin Romine, Austin Wells batting 8th, and Anthony Volpe batting 9th, and you're set up. So again, the lineup is really good, even with good depth. The bench is pretty good. Bullpen, sign Wandy and Middleton, and the bullpen's nice and strong. Rotation strong in those 5 slots that you have, and then the depth is non-existent, which is bad because they're going to get hurt. Because Rodon's going to get hurt. Nestor is 80% going to have to miss time because he can't be trusted to pitch a full season. And then also other pitchers get hurt. And Stroman kind of gets hurt sometimes. He'll probably miss 3 or 4 starts. That's usually what he does, which would be fine if that's what all of your starters did. If Rodon was a similar case where he would miss 3 or 4 starts, then you could accept all of them. Everybody after Cole being the types of guys who miss 3 or 4 starts. That's acceptable, but that's not the case. Rodon could very easily miss like 10 or 15 starts, and you wouldn't be surprised. And if he pitches really well, then you almost kind of take it. Like if you would kind of take him throwing 110 innings and pitching really, really well in those 110 innings. You take that from Rodon because he gets hurt so much that you don't trust that he can do much more than that. So that's what we're banking on, is that that Rodon and Nestor, or at least Rodon or Nestor, have a legitimately good season, like 150 innings from one of them. 150 innings with like a 3.5 or lower ERA. That's what you're hoping for from just one of them. And then you need Rodon to stay fairly healthy. You need Stroman to stay fairly healthy, and you need Cole to stay super healthy and be really good. And you need Schmidt to stay very healthy and be Schmidt. And you need the bullpen to be stacked again. But at least the offense is going to be good. If the pitching is similar to what it was last year, starting pitching that is, bullpen similar to what it was last year, the lineup is going to be like 100 times better. It was horrible last year. So it can't not be a lot better because you have Soto now and you have Verdugo and Judge hopefully plays the whole season, and you just have the 2023 Yankees were very upsetting. But this team looks like it's going to be a whole lot better. And we'll talk more about the Yankees as we go. The football season is coming to an end pretty soon. Next week, we'll talk about the conference championship games and probably some more baseball. And the following week after that, it'll be like the Pro Bowl will have been a few days before. So we're going to be talking about all baseball, maybe some XFL, which is the UFL now. But we'll be talking about some other stuff. The baseball baseball is going to start getting more and more. So today we're talking a little bit about baseball to end the show. Next week it's going to be more like half and half. Then the following week it's going to be all baseball. The following week after that it'll be the Super Bowl, and maybe it'll be only Super Bowl. And then a little like similar to this episode with a little bit of baseball at the end. And then after that, it's baseball, baby. It's baseball. We're going to do spring training. We're going to do predictions and talking about hopefully they've made a few signings and we have a full team to talk about. But other than that, that'll be the end of this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe and all that. Like it. Share it, maybe. But that'll be it. I'm Patrick, and I'll see you next time.